Welcome to Horse Talk Live. Enjoy the next hour learning more about the people, places, and products of the horse industry. And now, Horse Talk Live on Rural TV.
Howdy, everybody. Welcome to Horse Talk Live on Rural TV. As always, I'm your host, Lizzie Iwerson. Today, we have a visitor from Lowry City, Missouri, and we'll be talking about her company, Crest Ridge Saddlery.
Hello, I'm Debra Racheter from Crest Ridge Saddlery. We are located in Lowry City, Missouri. We specialize in custom-fit Amish handmade Western saddles designed to fit your horse or mule. Today we are here at Lost Springs Farm, home of Remember to Dream Therapeutic Riding Center. We would like to thank Harvey and Ricky Mueller for the use of their facility today. Today we will be discussing saddle fitting problems and proper fit for your horse. For a more extensive guide, please visit us at our home on the web at crestridgesaddlery.com.
All right, it's Crest Ridge Saddlery, and that's our topic for today. We're going to learn what makes their company so special, and it's all about the fit. Debra Racheter, thank you for being our guest today.
Well, thank you, Lizzie. It's good to be here.
So tell us a little bit about your company, Crest Ridge Saddlery, and what makes it so special.
Well, what makes it so special is we guarantee what's fit.
Okay.
So the customer, they measure and photograph the horse, and then they tell us what they want, and then we send them a saddle and guarantee it to fit. So if you're not happy with any little thing, then we want it back, and we either refund the money or we make adjustments and send it back on our bill.
Okay. Well, I think a lot of people can appreciate that. If you're spending this much money, you want to make sure that saddle's going to fit both you and your horse. And Debra, you've spent a lot of time learning the exact way to properly measure a horse so that that saddle fits. Where did you start? Where did you get this love for saddle making?
Oh, I had a horseman resort my daughters and I built in Norfolk, Arkansas.
Okay.
And we rode horses there hard. And when you're as heavy as I am riding a saddle, it's got to be right.
Okay.
So I became an expert quite quickly. So we rode an average of 6 or 7 hours a day, 6 or 7 days a week. And if it's not right, it'll show up quick.
Okay. So what prompted you to learn about correct saddles then?
My stepdad and mom, they got me a saddle for graduation. And I used that saddle for 37 years. And then I outgrew the saddle. So I hired a man to make a special saddle for me and my horses, and it didn't work. And I couldn't take it back. So I thought, by Joe, I'd make my own. And that was the start.
Okay. So tell us about now what Crest Ridge Saddlery has evolved into and who you have working with you to create these saddles.
We have 7 Amish families that, in conjunction, we have 2 tree makers and 3 saddle makers, and a lady to sew our skirts and fenders, and another to sew pads for us, and everything that we make is made right there in Lowry City, Missouri, with the exception of 2 of our models that are made in New York.
Okay, and everything is handmade.
It is.
There's no manufacturing going on here.
Nope, hand cut. There's no machinery. Amish people
okay.
don't
It's true.
use machinery.
Okay.
So everything's hand cut. We use the best leather, the best material we can get, and this is the product.
And you are very proud of this saddle, I can tell. So tell us first about the leather and how important that is to a saddle.
We use #1 Wicket and Craig leather, and if you can feel this saddle, it's just buttery soft. The minute you plop your rear end in it and go riding, it feels like you've been riding it for years. We have a full super coarse seat in it, which is a gel-like material. It's not gel, it doesn't hold the heat, and it's breathable.
Okay.
And then on top of that, we have a memory foam seat that's 5/8 of an inch. And it's got a ground seat, a very nice ground seat in between the tree and the rider. And just all 3 of those put together make an amazing seat.
So typically, who are your customers? Who are you building these saddles for?
Mostly the baby boomers, because the baby boomers are all retiring now, and they're getting out and riding instead of being weekend warriors. They're hard trail riders now, And when you're riding like that and you make that change, you find out just real quick how your saddle doesn't fit.
Okay. And what are some of the problems that people can, that will happen if somebody rides with an ill-fitting saddle?
Well, most typically you start to notice white hair.
Okay.
But sometimes it can be something subtle as your horse goes to bite you when you try to get on, or once you get on, it tries to run out from underneath you. When you approach your horse's saddle and their eyes get real big like this, that can be, sure enough, a sign of improper saddle fit. Running downhill, when you go to make the transition downhill and you rock that saddle into their wither, and if it's not on the right angle, it can actually impinge their nerve and causes them to swish their tail and try to run downhill and sometimes even buck.
Okay.
So if you notice any of those signs, come see me, Lizzie.
Okay. What about the fact that not everybody's riding horses? You've got some mule lovers, and
I'm a mule lover.
Yeah, tell us about your equines at home.
Well, tell about the mules?
Yeah.
Oh, man, my mules. When I pull in with that big 63-foot rig of mine, the mules will run 60 acres away. I mean, they'll run towards me and escort me down the driveway, and the horses just stand there and look and say, hey, she's home. But those mules, they know when mom's home.
And so you've dedicated a lot of time to figuring out the proper fit for both horses and mules, and gaited horses, gaited mules.
They're all the same. If the angle's not right, the clearance isn't right, the tree length isn't right, if it's not right, it sure is going to show real quick.
Okay. Well, let's look at some of the saddles we have photos of, and you can tell us these different models that you've made,
okay,
and what makes them special.
Okay.
So what do we see here?
This is a dressed wade. It's trimmed in rawhide. It's a single skirted wade. Weighs about 29 pounds. Has shearling sheepskin and Californian fenders. And it's just a real nice trail riding saddle.
Okay.
This is more of an endurance saddle. It has 8 10-ounce Wicket and Craig leather on it with the full Supercore seat. There's no horn, and it weighs about 24 pounds. This is a synthetic saddle. It's what we call a light. It's half leather, half synthetic, and it weighs about 18 pounds. And typically people that don't want to lift that 24-pound saddle, then this is where they're evolving to. And it's real easy to take care of the Cordura.
Okay.
This is the same thing. It's a Crusade light, and it's made for the horses with not a whole lot of wither and a well-sprung rib cage. And this is another Ovation. It's an endurance saddle. This is the Delzar saddle, and it's a saddle that we took many ideas from the 1850s to the 1880s and just incorporated. The top of it has Sam Stagg's rigging, and it goes down into McClellan rigging. Just looks like something that came out of the old days, but using new technology and new modern material.
Okay.
This is a Sinclair. It's a plantation type saddle. It's good for people that are converting from Western into English. It's just a great all-around trail saddle.
Okay.
This is a typical booth that we do at the expos. People get to see and touch and feel because, they just don't want to order something on the internet and want to take advantage of being able to come sit in it. We allow them to sit in our saddles.
Sure, that's important.
This is a walking horse of mine, and it's dressed up in the whole outfit with all-terrain collar and a mohair girth and an Ovation saddle and a compression pad and a set of saddlebags.
All right. Well, that gives us a good idea of all the different saddles that Crest Ridge Saddlery offers to people. And we have some good video that we're going to get to later on in the program that details the steps that a person needs to go through when they decide that Crest Ridge Saddle may be the saddle maker for them. So tell us a little bit about the synthetic saddles that we just heard about, and what difference that there is between leather and synthetic, and why someone would order one of those.
Well, let's just take this saddle for instance. It weighs between 29 and 30, but if we made it in the light version, then it would weigh approximately 22 to 18 pounds, depending on what the customer had put on it. But then we also have ultralight. And on the ultralights, everything synthetic is synthetic except the horn and the swell and then the cantelback. But everything else is all synthetic. And then some of my 70 and 80-year-old riders can lift it. It's 14 pounds. So
not bad at all.
we use the same tree in all three.
Okay. And tell us how important that tree is to your saddles.
Well, Lizzie, it's sort of like foundation in your house. It can be a good foundation, but if it's not made right to fit what we're building out of it, then it's not going to be a very good product because it's not going to fit the horse, so it's not worth a whole lot of money.
Right. All right. Well, we're going to take a short break. We come back, we're going to continue talking to Debra about Crestridge Saddlery. We're going to get some good video tips from her on measurement and how this can all benefit you and your horse in the long run when it comes down to buying a saddle. So stick around with us because we'll be back with more on Horse Talk Live.